on that extraordinary clash between President Trump and Pope Leo XIV, following Trump's declaration he's not a fan of the first American pope and accusations the pontiff is, quote, weak on crime for not supporting the president's war with Iran. But now Pope Leo is firing back, telling reporters he is not afraid of this administration.
I do not look at my role as being a politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loudly against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states to look for just solutions to problems.
Joining us now is Father Sam Sawyer. He is a Jesuit priest ordained in 2014 and the current editor-in-chief of America Media. And he just published a new article called "Trump is Trying to Distract Us from Pope Leo's Calls for Peace. Don't Take the Bait." Father Sawyer, it's great to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
So I just want to get your reaction first to this back and forth we're witnessing between the President of the United States and the Pope, the first American Pope at that.
I mean, I'm flabbergasted because it's unbelievable that any president would speak this way against the Pope, that any president would try to pick a fight with seemingly the entire Catholic Church in a situation like this. So I was stunned by it, but I was also, when I heard Pope Leo's response from the plane this morning, that sounded exactly like the Pope Leo we've come to know over the past, 10 months or so, right? That sounded exactly like him. He's not afraid. He's focused on the values of the gospel, and he's not entering into the back and forth of personal insults and attacks.
And yet some of the president's supporters I'm seeing on social media saying, no, it's the Pope picking a fight with the president. How dare he?
The Pope is speaking out in favor of peace, which he has been doing throughout. When he showed up on the balcony of St. Peter's right after his election last May, in his very first address to the world, he called for a disarmed peace and a disarming peace, and said, this is the message that Jesus offers us, calling us to peace.
Has the Vatican faced this kind of political scrutiny before, or are we wading into uncharted waters?
So certainly the Vatican has been politically on the wrong side of various American administrations. That's not brand new. The Vatican spoke out strongly against the 2003 era Gulf War, for example, and there was some pushback there. This is certainly as blunt and I would say as vulgar as an attack from an American administration on the Vatican has ever been, though.
What does this signal about how this Pope is positioning himself as a global leader, right, when it comes to issues that are front and center in society?
I think he's positioning himself as a voice for the gospel, as a voice for people who are suffering. So one of the things that's striking to me is Pope Leo will usually, even when it's pretty clear that he's critiquing some recent move by the administration, he'll usually avoid naming the United States or naming President Trump individually. Now, part of that's sort of a pattern of Vatican diplomacy to preserve their ability to serve as brokers and be in dialogue with people even after disagreement. But I think another part of that is Pope Leo wants the focus to be on the values of the gospel rather than on conflict between individual leaders. When he does point to looking at individual people, he points us to look at the people who are suffering, the poor, the vulnerable, those who are losing their lives in war, and remind us that it's those people, the people who are really suffering, where Christian attention, where Jesus is focused, and where we're asked to be focused as well.
The president has relied on evangelical Christian support in particular, with some of his supporters even suggesting he's divinely guided, and he's really leaned into that. I mean, case in point, this image that he posted, an AI-generated social media post depicting himself as some kind of American Jesus that many are calling blasphemous. What message is the president sending to people of faith?
I mean, I think the message the president is sending, whether he knows it consciously or not, is that he wants to be the center of attention all the time. And insofar as somebody like Pope Leo is pulling our attention away from the president and putting our attention back on God and back on Jesus and back on the call to peace and the message of the gospel, President Trump seems to have trouble with that. And he seems to be pulling attention back to himself instead of letting attention go to higher values and the deeper call of the gospel.
Quickly, if you will, do you see fractures among people of faith who have supported this president over some of these moves in this fight with the Pope?
I've certainly seen, just in the last 12 hours, some Catholics who have often defended the president feel like this is a bridge too far for him to attack the Pope. I've seen a little bit, as you mentioned, people in his evangelical base for whom that image seems blasphemous and just, again, sort of what are you doing, crazy seeming. So some fractures, but I don't think this will be necessarily the one political bridge too far. But I do think that what it's starting to do is to serve as a reminder to people of faith who are on the side of peace that we need to speak up as well, that it can't just be letting President Trump have the megaphone, saying whatever he wants to about claiming the defense of faith, that we have to claim the values of faith and the call for peace ourselves as well.
Father Sam Sawyer, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.